The voiceover for this video was recorded with the MSI DS502 gaming headset, a great sounding USB headset with a near studio quality mic for under $60 US. Click the link in the description to find out more.
Skip it up and that up.
The gaming industry and rumors go hand in hand. It's chock full of them. People say that when I make rumor videos that they're clickbaity and I'm just doing it for clicks, even though I don't agree at all because I put in bold capital letters in the title of the video that it's a rumor. But hey, if you feel they're clickbaity, I like talking about them because these rumors are interesting. And there's a lot of times the rumors have some truth to them. And it's interesting to go back to these videos after a product has been released and see what rumors were true and what were totally inaccurate. And this time, we got some rumors about the PlayStation 5 coming out sometime next year. Well, anyway, let's start off with a history lesson here. The PS1 launched in 1994. I remember when the PS1 was launching and I was like, Sony's going to start making video game consoles? But I was wrong, man. I mean, I was a kid. I was only like 12 or 13 at the time, but you know, it was like Sony was just, now it's like Sony synonymous with PlayStation. But back then, Sony was just, you know, electronics and Walkmans and Discmans and TVs. You never thought they'd make a console. Then I remember in 2000, the PlayStation 2 came out. I was working at Circuit City Express. I was there the day it launched and there was a line in the mall. Circuit City Express died way before Circuit City itself died. And I remember there was a line of people waiting for that PS2. PS3 came out in 2006, and the PlayStation 4 came out in 2013. And just recently, Sony, the end of last year, just launched the mid-cycle refresh known as the PlayStation 4 Pro. Now this dude that works for Macquarie, I believe it's how you say it, Capital Industries, this guy named Damien Thong, who has been pretty dead on about PlayStation predictions before. He actually predicted the PS4 Slim and PS4 Pro, has made another bold prediction that I hope he is wrong about. The whole reason I'm actually talking about this is because he's been right about other predictions before. He is predicting that the PlayStation 5 will arrive in the second half of next year, 2018. And that would be less than 5 years after the PS4 launched. Now, he doesn't go into details about hardware specs or anything like that. Obviously, it's probably just going to be a more powerful CPU and GPU. It's probably a safe bet as well to say they're going to work with AMD again. I'm going to assume because of how easy to work with the PS4 architecture is that the PS5 will be backwards compatible. Basically, whenever the PS5 comes out, if it comes out, I'm kind of skeptical of these rumors. It's just going to be a much more powerful PlayStation 4. I think it's a safe bet to make simply because Sony and Microsoft want to stick with the PC x86 architecture for devs, so it's easier for them to make games. So there's nothing set in stone. Maybe Sony, if this PS5 is coming out in the second quarter of next year, maybe it'll be some totally different console concept, but I highly doubt it. I'm sure, like the article from Forbes says, it's just going to have more powerful hardware inside, and I think it's a safe bet to say that the PS5 will be compatible with the PS4. But anyway, moving on to my take on this. How do I feel about this prediction from Damien Thong? Yes, it's his actual last name. From Damien Thong, that the PS5 is coming out sometime next year. I hope he's wrong. I have a feeling that he is. I think it's too soon, especially since Sony just launched the mid-life cycle refresh, the PS4 Pro, and they're sitting there telling people that that's a 4K capable console. I think it would just be too early. It would be a dangerous move for Sony to make for them to come out with the PS5 so soon. But if they do, it would be a disastrous business move. It would be very similar to what Sega did with the 32X. If you remember, I was around for it. I was a kid when the 32X came out. Sega was trying to convince everyone, at least Sega of America, even though they were already making the Saturn overseas. What a disastrous business decision this was. But anyway, Sega of America was trying to tell people, oh, the 32X is our next generation console. All you got to do is slap it on top of your Genesis and you're good to go. Okay, then what Sega did is they're like, no, we're full of crap about that. Now we have the Sega Saturn. That's our true next-gen system. And then Bertie Stoller Okay, I actually just talked about this in the Wretched Red podcast as well. Then Bernie Stoller, when he took over Sega of America, when the Saturn was struggling, instead of supporting the Saturn, so developers still want to make games for it, he comes out and says, yeah, the Saturn's not our future. I'm paraphrasing this now, but then he said, the Dreamcast is right around the corner. So developers and consumers lost all their faith in Saturn, and it just ended up sitting on store shelves because the president of Sega of America came out and said, yeah, the Saturn's not our future. It's a joke. Don't even touch it. Oh my God, that guy was such a fool. And you know what the most amazing thing is? When he got fired from Sega of America after the Dreamcast launched, he got a $5 million severance package. Can I do a terrible job at a company and get a $5 million severance package? But anyway, that's besides the point. I'm kind of getting off subject here. If they come out with the PS5 so soon after the PS4 Pro launched, people will feel the same way. Sony, I know you're very confident in the PlayStation brand now, and I know it's destroying your competition in terms of sales. I mean, not that the Xbox One brand is doing bad, but it's doing nowhere near as good as the PlayStation brand is in terms of sales and units shipped, so on and so forth. But don't let that confidence make you stupid. Okay? Now, I understand a lot of people are going to say, and I was thinking it too, maybe they're talking about the PS5 because if the Scorpio sells well, Project Scorpio, which is coming out this fall from Microsoft, which on paper is supposed to be significantly more powerful than the PS4 Pro. Maybe that's why Sony's thinking about coming out with the PS5 relatively soon, because they're like, oh man, if the Scorpio absolutely destroys the PS4 Pro and games end up looking a lot better for it, maybe we'll have to come out with the PS5. But even then, Sony, I wouldn't do it, man. I wouldn't do it. Look, you have such a big install base that developers will still find a way to shoehorn games onto the PS4 Pro and the PS4, even if they don't look as good as they do on your competitor, the Scorpio. They'll still get the games to come out for the PS4 Pro. Don't pull kind of what Sega did against the Super Nintendo back in the day. The Super Nintendo made Sega feel insecure because the Super Nintendo was more capable than the Sega Genesis. Don't do that now, because kind of like the Scorpio is the Super Nintendo of this generation and the PS4 Pro is the Sega Genesis. People don't care that much. As long as games look like Horizon Zero Dawn, so on and so forth, and you could get those pretty games to come out for the PS4 Pro, don't think you need to come out with the PS5 as an answer to the Scorpio. I'm not saying that you're doing that. I'm just kind of putting out all the situations out there that if this rumor is true, that they're coming out with the PS5 in the second quarter of 2018, as to what Sony's thinking and why they would do that. And if it is because the Scorpio is making them feel uncomfortable, not saying it is, I'm just giving as if examples. Don't, Sony. Trust me, your install base for the PS4 and PS4 Pro is fine. Developers will still come out with the same games for the PS4 and PS4 Pro as they will for the Xbox One and Scorpio. They'll find a way to get the games on there. There's too big of an install base for developers and publishers to miss out on that profit. You're fine. Wait until, I think, honestly, 2020 is the right year to come out with the PS5. If you even come out with a PS5, another conventional gaming console. Coming out with it any sooner than that will piss off the people who just bought a PS4 or PS4 Pro, and they'll feel jilted. Ask Sega how that went when consumers felt jilted when they went out and bought a 32X. It didn't work out too well for Sega, did it? This is Rich of ReviewTechUSA signing out. Have a good one.